There was a battle that decided the victor of the American Revolutionary War, a battle that would have been lost if there hadn't been a young Polish engineer. There was an uprising in Poland, the only one to be named after its leader, an uprising whose success would prolong or destroy Poland as a sovereign country. There was a man, Tadeusz Kościuszko, a Polish engineer, the deciding factor in the Battle of Saratoga and the leader of the Kosciuszko Uprising. Now, before we continue, I think we can all agree that Tadeusz Kościuszko is a lot more difficult to say than Simo Heiche. Like, a lot. Yes, I'm talking to you, Caroline Heidelender. So, in order to avoid that, I'll give him a nickname. From now on, let's call him Teddy K. LL Cool K graduated at the military academy in Warsaw and became a student instructor ranked as a captain. A civil war broke out during this period and one of Teddy's brothers was involved in the rebellion. Since monarchists were kinda the sugar daddies for his education, Teddy couldn't decide which side to pick, so he chose neither and went to Paris. He wanted to continue his military studies, but not being French, he could only enroll in the Royal Academy of Painting and Sculpture. So Teddy spent 6 years in Paris trying to understand why in God's name would people put oil on canvas and sneaking off to a library to read up on the geeky and boring parts of military strategy. Once he returned to Poland, there were no vacant places in the army, so Lil K had to work as a private tutor to a daughter of the province governor. I suppose that the pupil wasn't the brightest star in the sky and that Teddy knew how to treat a bad student only from those movies you don't watch as much if you have a girlfriend. Or he could have just fallen in love. Either way, the governor wasn't happy with Teddy, so he turned into a 10-arm monster and beat up Teddy. Well, he didn't really, he had his guards beat Teddy up. Anyhow, Teddy wasn't going to let this slip so easily. He came to the governor when he was least expecting, told him that he was a big meanie and fled to Paris. In Paris, Easy K found out that on another continent there was a bunch of British guys with weird accents fighting against a bunch of British guys with much weirder accents. The first ones had their hearts set upon their own country and they were ready to put their lives on the line in the name of freedom and slavery of their own. Finding similarities in the Revolutionary War with Poland's struggle against Russians, Teddy sailed and joined the American army as a volunteer. The Americans were on the run from the incoming British and they needed a way to buy time before they could face the enemy. Teddy knew a lot about geeky military stuff, so the Major General Horatio Gates ordered him to delay the British. Teddy achieved this by damming streams and destroying bridges. The Americans had enough time to go to Saratoga and Teddy had enough time to prepare and lay down defenses with his team of engineers. They won this battle thanks to Teddy's ingenuity, or as the Major General Gates put it, quote, "The great tacticians of the campaign were hills and forests which a young Polish engineer was skillful enough to select for my encampment." So yeah, screw Teddy, let's give a round of applause to a bunch of trees. Teddy stuck around until the end of the war, participating in different battles with different outcomes, blah blah blah, you all know who won this war. In 1784, Ice K returned to Poland. There, he became second in command to the prince and was one of the most influential figures in the army. A new constitution of Poland was a reason for Russia to invade. Although Teddy didn't feel Poland were the losing side, and to be fair, he won all of his battles, the Polish king asked for a ceasefire. Russia and Prussia took 2/3 of Polish territories in what is known as the Second Partition of Poland. Fleeing from Russians, Teddy went to Leipzig where he grouped with other influential Poles at the time. They decided to start an uprising and Teddy became its leader. The Kosciuszko Uprising lasted for 8 months and was pretty much like Wile E. Coyote trying to catch and kill the Roadrunner with his bare hands, except the Roadrunner was like 100 times bigger and stronger and was greatly armed. With literally no other option available, the uprising failed and led to the Third Partition of Poland, which ended the existence of a sovereign Polish state for the next 123 years. Teddy was imprisoned by the Russians, but the new Tsar pardoned Teddy and he went to the US. There, being ill with jaundice and battle wounds, Teddy received letters about the Polish fighting in the Napoleon army, including his nephews. Once Teddy found out that Napoleon wasn't really interested in restoring Poland, Teddy didn't want to take part in the French army. So instead he went to Switzerland. Before leaving the US, Teddy left a will, wanting all of his American estate to be sold in order to buy the freedom of black slaves. A will that was never carried out. In 1817, aged 71, Tadeusz Kościuszko fell off a horse, suffered a stroke, and died in the town of Solothurn, Switzerland. Be sure to like and share the video if you enjoyed it, and don't forget to subscribe. See you next week!